What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Time. I'm your host, Jacob Cutler, the Fantasy Guy, and today I have episode number 8 for you. And we are now in the meat and potatoes of this YouTube channel, this YouTube series, what it is all about. Fantasy. So every Tuesday, a little roadmap for you on what you can expect this season. Every Tuesday, I'm going to be dropping a fantasy video for you where I'm going to be breaking down my projected leaders, Yahoo's projected leaders, NFL.com's projected leaders, and ESPN projected leaders. So if you're on any of those 3 platforms, we are covering it right here for you. You don't need to look anywhere else. I have all of it right here for you on that Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to preach it until it is buried into your brain. That Excel spreadsheet that I keep talking about has everything you need, and you are not going to want to miss, because week 1 projections, guess where they're going to be? On that Google Docs sheet. So every Tuesday, expect a fantasy episode, and then every Friday, wait, what? 2 videos a week? Yes, 2 videos a week. So every Tuesday is a fantasy video, and every Friday is going to be a football video where we're talking about weekly picks. I may have some betting information for you. Yeah, my gamblers out there, you're going to want to keep your ear to the pavement, because I'm talking to you. We might be having some betting information on here, okay? We might be having some highlights on here. Of course, the injury report's going to make a return. Of course, the weekly spotlight's going to make a return. There's tons of things coming that you guys don't even know. I'm super excited for it, but every Tuesday is going to be the fantasy episode, and every Friday is going to be the football episode. So 2 episodes a week. I hope you're ready, because I'm ready for it. But you know what I always say, if you like what you see right now, please hit that like button. It is free, and it is the only way for the YouTube algorithm to help promote this video. So hit that like button. If you are not already, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so already, make sure that bell notification is turned on, so that way anytime a new episode comes, you are the first one to watch it, you are the first one to get the knowledge, and you are the first one to pass it along. All right. Whew. All right. That was an intro right there. Alrighty. So in today's video, we got our first week of projections. Normally how this is going to work is we're going to talk about last week projections, and then we're going to talk about current week projections. Obviously, with preseason being last week, we can't talk about past week projections, so we're just going to be talking about current week projections. This video may be shorter than the other Tuesday videos, but nonetheless, the knowledge and the content will still be the same. It's still going to be hard hitting, so don't worry about that. But like I said, we're going to be talking about my projections. We're going to be talking about Yahoo's projections, NFL.com projections, and ESPN projections. If you are on any of those 3 platforms, you are going to want to pay attention, because I'm going to be having who they believe is going to be the top guys per position, right? Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, flexes, defenses, and kickers. We're going to be covering it all, breaking it down, giving you my thoughts, insights, just what you guys should be looking for when you are setting your lineup before that Thursday game. But without further ado, you know what I say. Let's get into it. Alrighty, starting off with Yahoo. And basically how this is going to work is I have QB 1 and 2, running backs 1 and 2, wide receivers 1, 2, and 3, tight ends 1 and 2, defenses 1 and 2, and kickers 1 and 2. So it has the top 2 for each position except for wide receivers, where we have 3. Let's get into this. It's going to be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to tell you guys the players for each category, and then their projections, and maybe a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit of a tidbit about their game. But let's talk about this. First up, QB1 is Pat Mahomes, projected at 26.61 points, basically 27 points. He's taking on Cleveland. Tough matchup. He's going to have to earn every single one of those points, but the way he's been looking in the preseason with Tyreek Hill, I think he'll have no problem getting there. So, Pat Mahomes, you're number 1. QB number 2 is Josh Allen, projected at 24.88 points. You guys know that. You guys have seen the videos, I hope. You guys know how I feel about Josh Allen. He's coming in on fire with that last performance. I think he has no problem picking up right where he left off. He is against the Pittsburgh defense, so again, they are going to be another team that makes him earn every single one of those points because they are ferocious. So that is a great week 1 game right there. So if you have Josh Allen, be on the lookout, but have confidence. He'll take care of you. Moving on to the running backs. No real surprise here. We have CMC, Christian McCaffrey, leading us off, projected at 24.54 points. Now, Christian has a good draw. He's playing the Jets. And the Jets defense is garbage. A garbage. Yes, the New York Jets. I was gonna say the New Jersey Jets. They're no longer the New Jersey Jets, but the New York Jets are hot garbage. So Christian McCaffrey should have no problem running all over them. Next up, we have Alvin Kamara as your running back 2, projected at 20.98 points, 21 points basically. Now Alvin Kamara, he has a tough draw. He's playing the Packers. That Packer defense looks tough, but we shall see. New quarterback, new real system in there, so we'll see how he's utilized. I think he comes out of the gate strong though. Moving on to the receivers, we got receiver number 1, Tyreek Hill, playing the Browns, projected at 17.11 points. 17 points. He's playing the Browns. He's gonna have to earn them, but knowing Cheetah, he's good for at least 1, if not 2 touchdowns per game. So watch out for him to have a big game week 1. Next up, we have Justin Jefferson against my Cincinnati Bengals. Now, normally, I would say, Justin Jefferson, number 2. That doesn't really make, but it's against the Bengals. It's against the Bengals. I would be scratching my head if it wasn't against the Bengals. But he's projected at 16.83 points. I think he gets there. I think him and Kirk have a solid connection. And if you have Justin Jefferson, don't be afraid to start him against the Bengals defense. Next up, wide receiver 3, we have Davante Adams taking on the New Orleans Saints defense. That defense is nasty, so be on the lookout for Davante Adams. If you have him, start him with confidence, but just know if he has a bad performance week 1, it's that defense, it's not him. Now, let's talk about the tight ends, because there's probably somebody who's going to be number 1 every single time we do this, and we will definitely keep track of that. But your number 1 tight end on Yahoo is none other than Travis Kelce. Yes, Travis Kelce projected at 15.9 points to start the season. I had Travis Kelce last year. He did not score less than 20. So I think to keep that, I would guess I would put more money on him keeping that streak alive than him scoring less than 20 points. So that 15 points, that's a nice projection. Projected number 2 is Mr. George Kittle with the Niners, and he is at Detroit. Now, I know it is a road game, but I think George is set up to have a monster week 1. A monster week 1. I'm talking about a 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown week 1, easily over 100 yards. So if you have George Kittle, start him with excitement and be prepared to score a lot of points in week 1, because that Lions defense, I don't think anything's going to stop that tight end. Moving down to the defenses. Who do they have starting off strong this season? Well, number 1, we have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Chicago Bears, welcoming Andy Dalton to the Chicago Bears, and then we're going to start to see the downfall of Andy Dalton on the Bears, because the Rams defense is going to annihilate them. Projected at 8.66, that is a nice projection. I think they go above and beyond that projection. Projected number 2 is our opening night game, which is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense against the Dallas Cowboys. I think everybody's on the same page here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to go in there and absolutely blow out the Dallas Cowboys. If it's a game, awesome, but chances are that Buccaneers team is going to obliterate that Dallas Cowboys team. Moving down to the kickers. First up, we have Nick Folk from the Patriots. He is kicking against Miami. Division game, week 1. That's what I'm talking about. That's a big game right there. That's going to tell us a lot. It is week 1, but that is going to tell us a lot going into the season. So that is very exciting. I think that is going to be a high-scoring game, so Nick Folk should see a lot of activity. Kicker number 2 is Justin Tucker against the Las Vegas Raiders. He is projected at 10.11 points, basically 10.11. And he's going to go above and beyond that against the Raiders. I think they kick field goals all day. I think they're scoring all day. So Nick Folk was projected at 10.18. I don't think I covered that. And now Justin Tucker projected at 10.11. Those are your Yahoo fantasy projections. If you have any of those guys, don't be afraid to start them. All right, next up we have NFL.com's week 1 projections. Now, NFL.com is weird. If you're doing fantasy on NFL.com, please do me a favor, move over to Yahoo or ESPN. Nothing against NFL.com, but your fantasy is weird. Anyways, nonetheless, their projections very similar to Yahoo's. There are some changes, so we're not going to spend too much time on the people that are the same, just their points. So QB1 is going to be the same, is Patrick Mahomes against Cleveland. They have him projected though at 23.18. QB2 is Deshaun Watson, projected at 22.94. But wait, Deshaun, if you read reports, is not even scheduled to dress week 1. So I don't know what NFL.com is doing. I don't believe Deshaun Watson will dress for week 1. So if you have Deshaun Watson, if you drafted him for whatever reason, I don't know why. Maybe you thought you were ahead of everybody. You're not. You're not. So stop fooling yourself. Stop trying to fool everybody else. Get his ass on the bench. Find a real quarterback and move on. We can move Josh Allen in here if we need to, but NFL.com has Deshaun Watson for some reason. Moving on to the running backs, we have Alvin Kamara as your lead back instead of Christian McCaffrey like Yahoo. But Alvin Kamara is your lead back, projected at 20.51 points. So he's projected at that 20-point mark against Green Bay. Be on the lookout. We talked about him. It's going to be tough. Moving on, number 2, they have Austin Eckler against Washington. Now, Austin Eckler is a silent bomb dropper. Because he's tiny, people underestimate him. People are like, who? Austin, who? He drops bombs. So, Austin Eckler projected at 19-19 week 1 against Washington. Now, that defense is tough, but he's quick enough, he's elusive enough to get out of that backfield and get into the open and score some touchdowns. He's just got to stay healthy. Wide receiver number 1, they have Devontae Adams against the New Orleans Saints, projected at 21.85. Again, he's going to have to earn every single one of those 21 points projected if he's to have a successful day. They have at number 2, Tyreek Hill. So they have they have Devontae Adams and then Tyreek Hill. A little bit different than Yahoo. They have him projected at 20.53. He is against, like I said, he is against Cleveland. He is going to have to earn every single one of those points, but I don't think he'll have a problem getting there. Their wide receiver 3 is Stephon Diggs against Pittsburgh. Now, Stephon Diggs has been injured. He has yet to return to practice. So we shall see. He should be ready to go for week 1, but we shall see. If you have Stephon Diggs, make sure you're checking that injury report. Like I've been telling you, make sure you're checking the injury report. You don't want to be the fool who wakes up week 1 and sees that he's out. So, Stephon Diggs, they got him projected at 1991. Good year, dad joke. They have him projected at 1991. So, we shall see how he does. All right. And then their their tight ends. I'm moving too fast for myself. Their tight ends, no shocker here. Number 1, Travis Kelce, projected at 23.66. They think he's going to go off. Tight end number 2, they have Darren Waller. The other big boy in the tight end division is Darren Waller against the Baltimore Ravens. They have him projected at 17.86. So they have Travis Kelce and Darren Waller as your top 2 tight ends. Moving on to the defenses. This one is a bit of a head scratcher. So they have Green Bay projected at 7.76 against New Orleans. Could be a good day for them. And then they have the Las Vegas Raiders against the Baltimore Ravens, projected at 7.16 points. All right, moving on for the kickers. We have Austin Seibert versus Minnesota. Now, the funny thing is you have this kid, Evan McPherson, who's kicking 57-yard bombs, not missing field goals, not missing PATs, potentially beating out this guy, Austin Seibert. But for now, Austin Seibert, 7.79, projected to be your lead kicker in week 1. We'll see there if he even is the kicker in week 1. And your final kicker in week 1 is Ryan Suckup versus Dallas. Now, this one might actually come to fruition. 7.79, kicking against Dallas. I think they're going to win by 36 points, so Ryan Suckup could have a monster game. And last but not least is ESPN's projections. Now, again, ESPN's projections have some very similar projections as NFL and Yahoo does. So we're not going to deep dive too deep in if they do have a repeat, but we're just going to talk about them and I'll give you their projection number. So here we go. QB number 1, no shocker, Pat Mahomes, projected at 22.4 points on ESPN. QB number 2, this one's a little bit different, is Kyler Murray against the Tennessee Titans. Kyler Murray was QB2 overall last season, so he might be on the roll for another big season. Projected at 22.1, set to have a good start to the season. That Titans team is going to be tough. That is a tongue twister. That Titans team is going to be tough. So watch out for them. For the running backs, number 1, no surprise, is Christian McCaffrey, projected at 20.9 points. Number 2 is Dalvin Cook against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I think Dalvin Cook runs all over us. Dalvin Cook is a hell of a fantasy player when healthy, projected at 19.8 points. And I think he scores every single one of those 19.8 points. Moving on to the wide receivers. Number 1, just like NFL.com, is Davante Adams. They think Davante Adams is going to have a big game with 19.4 points. He's going to have to earn those points. Moving on, number 2 is Tyreek Hill against Cleveland, projected at 18.3 points. He's going to have to earn every one of those points. Number 3, and this is where it's another change, which is nice to see, is DeAndre Hopkins against Tennessee. They think DeAndre is going to have a big opening day. I can see it. Projected at 17.8 points. If you have DeAndre, I think it's a good start against Tennessee. He's definitely a guaranteed start. So DeAndre Hopkins, 17.8 points. Can't go wrong there. Number one tight end, Travis Kelce, projected at 20.9 points. The man scores 20 points in fantasy. If you have Travis Kelce, you are one lucky guy. Number 2 is George Kittle, right? George Kittle projected at 19.8 points. Set up to have a monster game in Detroit. The flexes. This is where I was telling you, the flexes are going to be the same as the top running backs usually. So the flexes in this case are Christian McCaffrey and Dalvin Cook. Obviously not real flexes, but that's how they have them on the website. Moving on to the defenses. All right, the defenses, they have as their number 1 defense the Denver Broncos against the Giants. And in all honesty, I kind of like that. I kind of like that as the number 1 defense. So if you have the Denver Broncos, start them with confidence against the New York Giants, because that could be a big game defensively for them. Number 2 is the Rams. So they have the Broncos projected at 7.7 points, and then they have the Rams projected at 7.6 points. Like I said, it's the start of the downfall of Andy Dalton with Los Angeles. Tough draw. It's going to be a tough matchup, that's for sure. The kickers, they have Harrison Butker projected at 8.9 points against the Browns. lot of Chiefs, like you said, a lot of Chiefs. So we shall see. Definitely going to have to earn those points, though. And then the last kicker is Matt Gay against the Bears on the Rams. He's going to be kicking field goals for them. I think he's kicking field goals all day. So I think he's getting a lot of points, field goals week 1. If you have any of those guys on ESPN, don't hesitate to start them. And last but not least, we have the Fantasy Guys projections, my projections, who I think is going to lead you into battle, who's going to lead you into victory week number 1. Now, I'm not going to read off their individual projected points because, as you will see on the on the Google Sheets, I should say, not Excel. Now on the Google Sheets, you will see that I have given you Yahoo, NFL, and ESPN. I've given you all 3. So you need to check it out to see what they are projected. But don't worry. You don't need to check it all the way out because I'm going to have the fantasy points for you right there. So along with the players, I'm just going to have all 3 fantasy points for you right up there. Don't worry. Don't get mad at me. Don't start hating me. I'll take care of you guys. So getting into it, my QB number 1 for week number 1 is Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson takes the Las Vegas Raiders to school. I think he bends them over his knee and smacks them on the ass. I think he gives them the spanking that they deserve because John Gruden has pissed me off this offseason. Pissed me off with the Khalil Mack story coming out, with him leading 30 starters at home. What the hell are you doing, John? Besides making yourself look like a freaking clown. So I think Lamar Jackson dominates the Las Vegas Raiders. Moving on to QB number 2, and that's the man leading us into the new season. Not Dak. No, Mr. Tom Brady. TB12, right? Tom, terrific. Tommy T, the GOAT. Tommy GOAT, right? There's so many names for Tom, but Tom Brady, I think, is going to dominate in his opening day against the Dallas Cowboys. I think they score 36 points. My guess, I'm making a prediction right now, right here. Seal it. Sign it, right? Sign, seal, deliver it right now. I'm saying 3 touchdowns. I'm saying a minimum of 3 touchdowns. Let's actually, you know what? Let's make this even more interesting. We're going 3 touchdowns first half. 3 touchdowns first half, 165 yards, no interceptions. He's going to be sacked once, and Chris Godwin is going to have 2 of the touchdowns, and Antonio Brown is going to have that other touchdown. Boom. Sign, seal, deliver it. Write it down. Mark the date. Timestamp it. I'm telling you right now, I'm calling my shot. Let's see what happens. But Tommy B, dominating the Dallas Cowboys. If you got him, definitely needs to start. Moving on to running backs. Running back number 1, I'm copying everybody else. Christian McCaffrey against the Jets. He is going to obliterate the Jets. I can already smell it. I can already see it. I'm already visualizing it. Christian McCaffrey is going to have an outstanding week number 1 in his return to the field. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. Moving on to number 2, we have Dalvin Cook. I'm going to agree with ESPN. I think Dalvin Cook has a monster performance against the Bengals. When healthy, Dalvin Cook is one of the best backs in the NFL. Now, when is the key word there. He has to stay healthy, but against that Bengals D, until they show us something different, I think he walks all over them. Now, for the receivers, my first receiver, I'm going to agree with ESPN, right? I have Davante Adams as my wide receiver number 1. Now, I know I said he's going to have to earn those yards, but I think he does. I think him and Aaron Rodgers, they bring that connection back, right? They've had that secret sauce together their entire career, so there's no reason to think that it's going to stop now. So, Davante Adams, week 1, definitely a good start. Definitely a lock start right there. My projected number 1. My number 2, though, is someone different, Calvin Ridley. Now, if you don't know about this kid silently for the last 2 years has been taking over the wide receiver position. Literally has been climbing the ladders season after season after season to become one of the top receivers in the NFL. So good, in fact, that Julio Jones is gone. That's obviously not the reason, but that's the reason I'm telling you right now. He's gone. So Calvin Ridley definitely needs to be in your starting lineup if you got him. My third wide receiver is the man I talk about all the time, which is Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, I project, is going to have a monster week 1 against the Chicago Bears. That defense is good, but I think Matt Stafford comes out firing, wants to set the tone for the new team, and I think Cooper Kupp is the beneficiary of that. Now, moving on to the tight ends. Now, for the tight ends, I switched it up. I do not have your normal one. My number 1 tight end is George Kittle. I think George has a better week than Travis Kelce. I think he absolutely dominates Detroit. So if you have George Kittle, definitely needs to be in there. My tight end number 2 for the week, and he's making his NFL debut, is Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts, I have, he's making his NFL debut. I have him as my tight end number 2. I think he gives us a welcoming that we've all been waiting to see. I think he gives us a welcoming that shows us, hey, he's here and he's here to stay. So Kyle Pitts, I have as number 2. Now, my flexes, like I said, I actually have flexes for you guys. I'm not doing this stupid top wide receiver, top running back type thing, okay? So my flexes are Terry McLaurin and Jonathan Taylor, right? So Terry McLaurin first. Oh, but wait, he's usually a normal star. He's not like a wide receiver 1, blah, 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 blah. Hey. Shh. Okay? Terry McLaurin is your flex, all right? Not everybody is like you and picking Terry McLaurin as your wide receiver 1. Some people have sense, okay? And they're not picking him as their wide receiver 1. So, if you have Terry McLaurin, right, and he's your wide receiver 1, good for you. Put him in there. Hopefully he gives you wide receiver 1 numbers. But if he is not your wide receiver 1, get him in there as your flex because he is going to dominate for you as a flex option. I guarantee that. Number 2 flex option is Jonathan Taylor. So Jonathan Taylor, I believe, is also going to dominate at that flex option if you already do not have your running backs taken up. If he is one of your main running backs, that's great. I believe in him. I think he's going to have a good season. If he's not, and you have him as a flex, put him in that flex option because he's definitely going to deliver this year. Guaranteed. For the defenses, my first defense, I have San Francisco. I think they absolutely munch on Jared Goff's opening debut there. I think they absolutely just destroy the Lions. Dan Campbell, love his energy, love how buff he is, but your team is about to get eaten alive by the Niners. That's just my opinion. Number 2, I have the Miami Dolphins. I think the Miami Dolphins welcome Mac Jones to the NFL in only the way the Miami Dolphins do, which is picking him off 1, 2, 3 times maybe, and welcome him into the NFL that way. Because the Miami Dolphins defense is not one to be played with. They are ball hawks. They locate the ball, they target the ball, and then they go get the ball. So the Miami defense may be having a feast in Mac Jones' Week 1 debut. But we shall see. We shall see how the kid does. My kickers, I have Tyler Bass against Pittsburgh. I think he is going to be very effective in Week 1. That it's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a very, very back and forth game. It could be a very high scoring game, or it could be very low score, or a very, it could be a very offensive game. Sorry, that's what I should be saying. It could be very an offensive game, or it could be very a defensive game. So if it's going back and forth, if it's defensive, obviously it's going to be field goal, right? So that there's a lot of points for you there. If it's a high offensive game, it could be field goals, extra points. So I think either way, Tyler Bass, as the kicker himself, has a good Week 1. My second kicker is Matt Gay. I agree with ESPN. I think Matt Gay against the Bears has a monster Week 1, just because I think that offense is going to be rolling, is going to be humming coming out of the gates. So Matt Gay is my kicker number 2. Definitely, if you got him, start him against Chicago Bears. Full confidence. And that is the Fantasy Guys projections. Alrighty, and that's all I have for you guys today. If you guys like what you guys saw today, please hit that like button. It is the only way for the algorithm to know what to promote. So please hit that like button. And the best part of all, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. So hit that like button. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And then if right next to it, if that's not already red, right, just tap on that little bell. Just tap it. Tap-a-roo, right? Tap on that bell. Make sure notifications are turned on. That way, anytime a new episode is dropping, right, and they're going to be dropping every Tuesday and Friday, every time a new episode drops, you're going to be the first one to watch it. You're going to be the first one to consume the content. Get the knowledge, right? Get all the fantasy news that you can absorb as a human being, and then just spew it out to your friends and family, because that's what we do here. We give you the knowledge that you need. So if you like what you saw, please follow me on Twitter at FantasyTime2021. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like I just said, at FantasyTime2021. And then you can find us on Facebook at The Fantasy Guy 2021. There are multiple ways that you can find us. And then make sure that you download that Google Sheet. It is pinned on every single possible platform that you can find it on: Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. It is there. It is in the link of this video if you need it. So be sure to check out that Google Sheet doc. It has all the information that we covered today, and you can keep following along with it all season long, because that's what I'm here for you, and that's what I'm here to do, is bring you the knowledge, drop the knowledge, and I'm here to make you guys better fantasy players. You know what show it is. It's fantasy time. I'm your host, Jacob Cutler, the Fantasy Guy. It's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for watching this video. Until next time, Jacob Cutler is out.